Hello, everyone. I am Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspire podcast, and my guest today is Dr. Tori Ellis. Dr. Ellis is a certified life and business coach, author, and entrepreneur. She's the accomplished author of The Sound of Business, Seeing Entrepreneurship Through Hip Hop, a work that fuses entrepreneurship and her passion for hip hop, bridging the walls of business and creativity. Her journey is defined by a steadfast commitment to growth, innovation, and the unwavering pursuit of empowerment. With a profound background in entrepreneurship and business coaching, she has spearheaded the revamping and scaling of several businesses from the ground up, including 2 of her own ventures. Her impact extends across diverse sectors, including education, fitness, and professional services. More about Dr. Ellis at thesoundofbusiness.org. So, Dr. Ellis, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It is truly a pleasure to be here.
So, the introduction I read shows a strong business background, something you are passionate about. In previous interviews, I had guests that never gave an interview about the spiritual side of their life and were pleasantly surprised to see how much I was able to pull out of their past, retrieve memories that stir fond emotional patterns. So let's see what our discussion will bring forward this time.
Yes, let's dive in.
So did you have a spiritual upbringing?
I did. So I grew up in a very Christian home. So did that, but then also I went to high school in Catholic school. So I have really familiar with the both. And for some reason, there were certain parts that did not resonate with me, but I was able to really find my own spiritual journey and my own spiritual growth with, finding my own connection and spirituality. My spirituality has grown in that aspect. So, yeah.
So fortunately, hopefully, your parents were not part of the church. They're not a pastor or something related to that type of position within the church.
Well, my dad was a deacon. So, yes, my dad was a deacon in the church, definitely. And so was my grandfather. So it was definitely a part of our family. We were heavily involved in the church, committed members, but also very active with the youth and the people of the church. So I had aunts who were ushers or aunts who were choir directors. So pretty much our family was moving in that arena in so many different ways. So it definitely played a part of my upbringing.
And the reason I mention is because all my previous guests who had a parent as part of a spiritual or religious figure within the church, especially a pastor or a deacon, had some emotional scars because they were forced to not only attend the church, but learn the Bible by heart, apply every single teaching, and to them, some of them didn't make any sense. Some of the teachings didn't make any sense. They're not explained properly. And they carry these emotional scars with them throughout their lives. And they had to slowly release this trauma. So looks like we're quite happy and you didn't go through the similar experience.
Well, definitely my experience was a little bit different. I had voiced very early on that I didn't feel that it was a right fit for me. And I was trying to find my walk of life during that time too. So my parents were pretty much open. They told me, when I started college, then I can be open to exploring those options. And being that I chose to go to an all-girls Catholic school for high school, I pretty much had opened up my perspective to another religion as well. So I was getting some more information and a lot of the things were just not adding up for me. And that kind of drove my decision furthermore when I went into college. And thankfully, my parents had an open mind when it came to releasing that from me. But they definitely did want me to find a home, as they would find a home for my spirit. And the home for my spirit ended up just being myself. And I didn't have a exact place, but the home was within myself and in my connection. So, yeah.
That's great. And did you have any transformational spiritual experiences that you can share with us, either with a younger age or later in life?
Most definitely. So I want to say after college, during college, I started to pretty much struggle with a lot of health issues. And majority of them stem from the womb area. So that fueled a lot of self-worth issues, self-esteem. And as my health progressively started to get worse, depression, anxiety was a major, major part of my walking life. Little on into, I want to say about 23, 24, after I had a couple of surgeries on my uterus, but then end up having a surgery on my back for a car accident, I had to remove all the things that were not serving me anymore at that point. And majority of that too was the medication that they were putting me on. So for pain management, I had ibuprofen 800 and morphine tablets to take twice a day. So I was a walking zombie. Very, very cut off from any kind of connection, if you want to say. So I had to really cleanse that out. And going through that process, I want to say, is when I really had to lean on faith. And with that, really awaken to who I was, where I wanted to go, what my purpose was for this walk of life I was in, and where this journey was going to take me. So obviously, health issues played a part of my spiritual journey, and definitely growing into more of that. It was a lot of trauma within that space as well, because the medical field, I didn't get the support there. And there was a lot of questioning on my sanity. It wasn't until, I want to say, we're in 2023. It wasn't until just last year, so 11 years, they finally was able to diagnose me with what I have. But for all those years, because of, not a lot of cases, not a lot of research or information, they couldn't pinpoint it. And majority of the time they would place it on my mental state, or, me not being mentally healthy, me wanting to take these pain meds. And that put a strain on myself too, because they weren't believing the discomfort I was feeling. So that was definitely that awakening point for me. And now I know that my voice was here for either young girls or women who are going through things just like I went through. But then also, showing them that those setbacks does not define them. It depends on what they do moving forward. So now I use my voice to advocate, but then also use my voice to say, hey, you're not in this alone. Like, you do have a support system, you do have a support team, even if it's somebody that you met through the internet, or even if someone that you met over a podcast. We are here and your community is here. And now that's what I do. Personal development.
And indeed, see, the common denominator throughout these interviews is that the medical system is not prepared to treat, accept, acknowledge something which is outside their norms, outside what they learn in school, what they're taught in school. And that's very limited. Their knowledge is limited to just the material world. As soon as you take them outside of that realm, they are lost. They don't recognize it. They don't admit it, and they put you on meds, and that's the risk. They will categorize you as crazy, as not being able to handle yourself. They can take control over you, and that's the biggest risk, because they can declare you or take your sanity away completely and put you away on meds. So through this podcast also, and through all my other guests, we kind of fight towards the medical, or against the medical system, which has to open up their minds and learn more about these bodies, which are not mechanical. They are biological. They are biological machines, amazing machines. They know how to function by themselves, with a little bit help from us in terms of meditation, proper food, and a little bit of care. And we really have to push back when they are trying to categorize us as crazy, as insane, or you don't know what you are talking about. I've been to school for 12 years and I know better than you. So that's the risk, I think, nowadays we have to be very aware of. And this new generation don't know how to, again, in my opinion, don't know how to stand up for themselves, and they easily give in when someone in a white coat will tell them you are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely a new generation, new era that we're in. And if we are able to provide those youth with that information, it can definitely change the game on what's happening. And a lot of time it literally is just a matter of having the knowledge. So if they were able to understand, like, ask these questions or be very diligent on checking your chart and see what they're writing down so you even know what's going on in your chart. And you can have your own separate notes. It does help and set apart because now that one opinion, you can be like, hey, this doesn't sound that right. Let me go get a second one. And maybe the second one is like, okay, let's work a little bit differently. But I would always say, if it is possible, because sometimes medication is needed in some cases, not all, but if it is possible to go a more healthier, holistic route, because all the nutrients and stuff you need, you can get from the earth. From the sun, water, the greens that you eat, the food that you eat. So it literally is just a matter of your changing your perspective and just changing how you infuse all of these natural elements to help your body grow. And it's, like I said, it's all about knowledge.
And exactly. And the same doctors told us for 3 years to stay indoors, forget about vitamin D, vitamin C, any type of vitamin, just hide yourself in your house, don't come out, and stay in fear. And that will do great for our bodies and our mental health for sure.
No, and they did the complete opposite, even to the extent of walking outside and keeping your face covered while you're walking or running. They don't realize that these masks, and I had to say it a few times, the masks are only recycling the air that you're breathing. So it's a lot of carbon monoxide that you are intaking as well. So I want to say their intentions were good. I want to say that. But the knowledge and stuff that came afterwards, and you've seen how many people either got sick or even just being in isolated, they didn't have that community or that communication. It affected their mental state. A lot of kids came out of going back to school being very awkward or socially awkward, getting overwhelmed easy. So it played a big role on their mental and emotional states, and no one really seen it until literally the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest crime was done on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unforgivable. To me, that's unforgivable. Okay, an adult lived a little bit of their life. They might know how to come back on their feet, but the kid will live with that scar for the rest of his life. And you don't know how he will evolve physically, mentally, emotionally 10 years from now.
Right. So, I mean, that's why it's very pivotal. And I take it very, very close to heart to make sure I'm providing those programs, because I do have youth programs, and we wanted to make sure that social emotional learning was a big part of it. So one of our programs, we call it the Mindfulness and STEAM Lab, and pretty much we teach the kids about mindfulness and meditation, being aware of themselves, how to uplift themselves and self-adjust, but then also utilizing the tools that they get from STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, and infusing it so they can see everyday life is used with these topics too. And within that, one of our core focuses is on urban gardening, because we want the kids to be able to know about sustainability and how to properly grow healthy greens to feed their bodies inside so they can be healthy outside.
Yes, and I know you wrote books about, or co-author books about children, how they can become an entrepreneur. How are these programs received by the educational system?
Well, the programs of the educational system have been received really well. I mean, especially since it's a niche that most schools do not have, but then also being able to provide all these different options and being able to fit the needs of the school and the means of the school is where we have been able to find our groove. But then also to being in the state of New York with a lot of budget cuts that happen as well, the funding gets a little funny. So that's where, private donations for our nonprofit and stuff is definitely useful, because now we're able to still provide that programming for these kids, even mentorship for these kids, so that way they are not limited or denied this information or these resources just because the school can't afford it.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, continue. I'm sorry.
And do you use plots of land, unused plots of land to turn them into gardens and teach the children how to grow food, or what's the approach?
So the approach that we use is also we have hydroponic towers. So pretty much they're able to grow year round, and that's indoors. So they're able to see with the use of light, the use of water, nutrients, they're able to see how the plants are able to grow. And then they have the control over that environment too. So they're able to have and learn ways, not only just hydroponically, but we teach them about how to do the gardening too, using the soil and microgreens and exposing them to these topics. So that way they do have tools that they can use for themselves and their family moving forward. And it has been absolutely phenomenal. So now it's like, I want to say I consider myself a wellness brand because I focus on my focus and my love is for everyone to be healthy mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And in order for us to do that, we have to make sure our whole being is taken care of. So if I'm able to provide programming for youth, if I'm able to provide coaching for adults on personal development, it goes a long way because sometimes it literally just is having that guiding, that guidance, but then also being understanding that, hey, I can do this. This is not completely out of my reach. It's something that is attainable. And when they're able to see that, it changes how they view it.
Yes, and I hope you and the kids are much more successful at the hydroponics than I was. I built a full system and I try salads and some other vegetables, but I wasn't able to move the seedlings to the next row. They didn't grow that much. So, but I try to use only organic fertilizer, and I think plants don't necessarily like that if they are not outdoors. So I might try again, but for now I took a break and focus on other type of agriculture.
I mean, well, if you ever need some key advice or some help, we can definitely work on that to get those gardens going. But yeah, it depends on what we have realized. It depends on the plant, it depends on the environment. And like when people say talk to your plants, literally talk to your plants.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Dr. Ellis, you mentioned that you talk with children about mindfulness and meditation. Is this done only on a specific age bracket, or this is a plan to move forward as they age? Because this is a habit they should have throughout their life, and if it stays only for one semesters, maybe they will lose this good habit.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do service K through 12, so we love to make sure that we streamline it for all grades, and that is continuous for all grades because, like you said, it becomes muscle memory when they continue to do it, So we continue to have that flow in between. So K through 12 we focus on, but then as they get into the adulthood, as they get into young adults, they go into college, and college is a completely different ballgame now because as young adults, you're on that fast pace classes, probably eating a ton of junk food, going out all the time. So it's a different kind of, it's a different approach with the college kids. But I know for me now, I love that niche of the kids from K through 12, but for the adults, it's those transitioning to going into full on adulthood, whether they're going into now starting their career or they're going into entrepreneurship, pretty much having those foundations as well, because they need that to sustain them too. And they don't realize that it's a different level of overwhelming. It's a different level of stress. And as you get older, as you start to evolve and add on these extra parts of your life, whether you're having kids or you're moving from different states, parents and family around you, they're getting older too. So it's a different transition that happens and a lot that goes into it. So being able to have that balance and now being able to coach young adults, even coaching adults on their personal development for themselves on a personal level or on a business level is definitely my zone. And I keep it dear to my heart because I feel like everyone needs it. And like you said, it's something that if it's streamlined from the youth all the way up, it can change a whole lot of people and a whole lot of lives.
Yes, and this leads me into my next questions, because a lot of my guests were very stuck into the material world early in their life, and only later on understood that an existence is not complete without the spiritual component. So are you personally able to avoid at this age, avoid this trap? And are you talking about this trap to, let's say, the teenagers you are coaching or interacting with?
So with the teenagers that we're mentoring in our program, we are able just to give them some, how I like to put it, representation. And I want to make sure that they're able to see people who look like them, who have been through things just like them. So they know, like, hey, it's not a one size fits all, but then at the same time, I'm not the only person who has done it. So if we're able to show them and bridge that gap with people who are older, who have been and have that life experience for them in the mentorship program, it does leave a very big lasting effect. And then even with adults, I've come to realize that, and I say it to so many people. I think my grandmother told me it first. Every therapist needs their own therapist. So every coach needs their own coach. So as adults, as a coach for myself and being a coach for another adult, is literally just like, hey, sometimes you just need that extra help and that extra accountability partner, that extra guiding hand. Like, hey, we know that this may be a slow area here, but how do we improve it? So even if they do slack off, or even if they do kind of lose that connection that maybe they had at the youth age, because life changes and life experiences can definitely affect the connection, a spiritual connection, if you let it rock your life too much. You can either become very, very enthralled in it and you lean on faith a lot, or you can just feel like there was nothing there to support me, and I didn't have anything or any person who was there to support me through this, and they're completely turned off from it. So even whether there is a disconnect or a strong connection, it's still showing as an adult, like, hey, I can still find time to now pull back into myself, find what truly it is that I want to do and what I'm here to do and how I want to do it and how I'm here to express it to the world. So that way now that connection could probably grow and they probably can heal through that journey as an adult. So yeah.
Yes, we definitely need a coach or someone to rely on. As you said, even the teacher needs a teacher or someone to confess and, take out whatever worries he or she has out and release it. And you mentioned your grandmother, and I had another guest who wrote a whole book on her Abuelas Wisdom. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you share with us any other wisdom from your own abuela?
Well, not just from my grandmother, I would say from my grandfather too.
Please.
Definitely. One was every therapist needs their own therapist. And then another one was to always lead with love. And the reason why is because you put love out there and you get love back. Sometimes you may not interact with characters that are meant to be in your life. They're in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. So with that, for you to have a clear conscience, or for you to, kind of walk a little bit lighter, they always said to just lead with love and lead with compassion. Everyone is different. Everyone has their peaks and their valleys. Everyone has their highs, their lows. And everyone's experience is different. So their truth is always going to be different from your truth. And with that, just being able to acknowledge that their truth is different, respect their truth for what it is. And sometimes that respect is, I agree to disagree. It's totally fine. But it's just letting them know, like, hey, I hear you, I see you, and I'm showing up here.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a wise advice. And I think we both did I agree to disagree in the last 3 years with a lot of people. Yes. And we still have some kind of relationship, but at least, as you mentioned, we have a clear conscience that it didn't start it from us, and we left the door open or the bridge intact just in case we have to walk it again.
Right. Because sometimes every path is not meant to to carry on the same journey. Like some bridges, you may have to cross this bridge over here and I cross over here, but we may end up meeting at the end. You never know. But yeah, definitely leaving that open, but leaving it open with a lot of love, because you just want to see people succeed. And ultimately, that's what I want to do. I want to see people succeed. I want to see them grow. And I want to see them be their best self at all times.
Beautiful. Dr. Ellis, what is your perception of God, divine source?
My perception of it? Okay.
Yes.
I speak of the Most High. So I do not put a face or a name. I just say the Most High. And if I do, I believe it is both male and female, because we are here, you know? I don't just limit it to it. I feel like I believe in I told someone this the other day, I believe in omnism. The one in all. I can see one in all, whether it is we have a different religion or if we have a different perspective. Literally, we are all walking this earth together. We all are here to create a purpose or here to lead a purpose. And some purposes align with others. You have some who are writers, some who are motivational speakers, some who are here to charge the front line and be warriors. But it's a collective. So with each, everybody is one. So I feel like how I would put it is the Most High, because the Most High was able to create everything and all of these different people and made them uniquely for them. And it's beautiful to see. So that was my perspective on them.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And because you mentioned authors, let's get into the subject of your book. Why the association between hip hop and business?
So that book came out in 2018. It was my first book and it went best-selling. I had to create a capstone class. I had to create a capstone project for my master's, and I took my master's in industrial organizational psychology. So my professor gave us the task of creating a book on what we all learned. And instead of just creating a regular book, I decided to put my passion in it as well, because I am a creative at heart. And I love hip hop. I love music. Music is something that can definitely drive me, but it's something that is definitely healing too. So I use the culture of hip hop, because you have entrepreneurs, you have machines that are in it, you have people who are brands, and each one plays a different part that you can see that plays out in business. So I use that to create that correlation so people can relate and understand, not at the academic level, but more on the basic communication level of, hey, this is something that I see happen all the time. It's not just because you're a big business that these things are needed. It even happens for those who are entrepreneurs or those who are in the field of hip hop. So that's what I created with that. And my professor read the book and told me I need to publish it. So once I published it, it went best-selling in IO Psychology on Amazon. And from then on, I've just been writing books. I felt like I had a book for adults, and then that's what sparked me to write the mini entrepreneur series for the kids, so that way they can see representation and also to connect with those same entrepreneurs. So it's always a gift that's giving. And you can always see those people and how to support those people too. And that has been pretty much my goal this whole time.
Interesting. And what other projects, like ventures, are you working on these days?
So outside of the books that we have, the first book, Seeing Entrepreneurship Through Hip Hop, I am actually going to revamp it. I'm in the process of doing it, and I'm going to re-release that book, volume 2. So that's going to be with some more great information, especially now as Dr. Ellis, and having my focus more on the human and organizational part. So I may switch up the genre of music, but you're definitely going to get that feel to correlate the two. Outside of that, we have the programs that I'm doing, and then now we have outside of the programs, we also have my coaching, and my coaching is available now too. So I have one-on-one coaching that I do, and it's for transformational coaching. That's what I like to say I am, is a transformational coach for your life or your business.
Interesting. So, yes, good luck with these new projects.
Thank you.
Do you have any role models in both business and spiritual world?
Role models?
Yes.
Known role models or role models like I
Whatever, doesn't have to be a known one. I mean, of course, if you can share with us.
Okay, so I would say that a role model that I have definitely had in my life, on a personal level, has been my parents and it has been my brothers because I have seen my parents do the 9 to 5. My father was a consultant, um, so I have seen that aspect of him as well. So I got the consulting down on that part from him, you know. But then my brothers were entrepreneurs and they did mentorship. So our family was always big in mentorship. So on a personal level, the family as a whole has been role models from my aunts, my grandparents, my uncles. They have been very pivotal in who I am today and why I do what I do today. So those are my role models on a personal level. And on the business, between my parents and my brothers, I've seen my parents do the 9 to 5 and my brothers do the entrepreneurship. And I was able to see that not every lane is meant for everybody and not every lane is easy. So definitely was able to gather a lot of gems, and a lot of knowledge just by observing and seeing what I wouldn't want to do for myself, but then what I may take and alter and tweak to fit for me, because ultimately not everybody's way of doing things may work for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So yeah.
It's good that you keep it close to your chest, and
Mhm.
you don't have to go miles to ask for advice. You just go 2 steps away and you ask.
Right. Right.
Dr. Ellis, what would you consider a fulfilled life?
For me, a fulfilled life is a life of peace and a life of joy. I'm very, very big on my peace and I love to laugh. So, if my life is peaceful in a sense where, you know, I know that everything is taken care of. I know my daughter, I have a 2-year-old, she's taken care of, she's thriving. I know I'm healthy. So having that overall wellness that we talked about earlier, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, those are the things that I would say is a successful, fulfilled life for me. Being able to laugh and taking those moments, to cherish those moments because you never know what tomorrow may bring. And being able to live presently. I've definitely grown more into living in my present moment and not living for the future, but not living in the past, but living for what's here right now and taking each step to make a better tomorrow.
Well said. And, we are going as a society through a lot of changes, and especially energetically and spiritually. And some of us and the guests I talk to, they don't just wait and, meditate, but they try to enhance their connection with God, divine source, through either plant medicine ceremonies, breath work, um, sound healing, to eliminate trauma, ancestral, and from this existence. How do you see your spiritual evolvement in the next 5 years, let's say?
So currently right now I love to do and use binaural beats. I do a lot of breath work, deep meditations, guided meditations. But for myself, growing more spiritually outside of just me deep diving into more education, it's going to, I would say I'm not going to, I am going to get certified as sound healing and doing singing bowls and the drumming because from my lineage, I'm Native American and African American, but with my lineage and having that information of who I was and coming to understand who I am as a person by doing deep dives into my history, my family history, it played a part of me too, of my spirituality and what I infused because there's certain beats or certain tones that just like touch me in different ways or reach a nerve that I never knew I had. So I had to tap into that. And when I did, I was like, okay. So I know sound healing for me is something that I am definitely going to become a practitioner in. So that way I don't have to just hear it from someone else. I can do it too for myself and do it for others. So that's definitely where I'm going.
Perfect. So it will be wonderful to hear that story when you're going to be able to show us that certificate and the experience that that comes with that piece of paper. Yes. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, 2024 is going to be an amazing year. Count on it.
Dr. Ellis, do you have any other projects or initiatives you'd like to share with us?
I think the main one I would share now is just my coaching. My transformative coaching I do have available, and there are on sale on my website. They can find it there. I do one-on-one personals because I make sure that the program is fit for each person and what their need is. And I have that going on right now. So that is available. And, more programs and small different master classes and stuff are going to roll out too. So there are definitely going to be tools that they can download and have as well. And I do send out care packages because it's a community. So I want them to feel that they are involved in the community, not just a coach, but you have a community behind you as well. So you do get gift bags and stuff that come with it as well. So it's a whole to do, but I mean, it's something to feel good on the inside and out. And that's where we're at with that.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we are approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
I would just like to say thank you for holding this space. Thank you for this platform. And thank you for being you, because honestly, this is a platform that a lot of people need. And just being able the opportunity to sit here and speak with you today, tell my story, which is huge, and put everything out there for whoever is meant to receive it. I'm totally, totally grateful for it. And you're doing an amazing job. So keep up the amazing work.
Thank you very much. Good luck with all your projects, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Share it, like it. Don't forget that we are on Conscious Awareness Network right now, also spiritualinspired.ca. Download a free copy of my book when you visit my website. And until next time, love and gratitude.